In a world filled with noise and chaos, where the pace of life seems to accelerate with each passing day, there exists a quiet sanctuary, a place for contemplation, connection, and profound transformation.
Welcome to Awaecnian Odyssey, a journey of discovery into the depths of the human spirit. Here, amidst the hustle and bustle of modern life, we invite you to pause, to breathe, and to explore the timeless questions that unite us all.
From the wisdom of ancient traditions to the insights of modern thinkers, each episode of our series offers a glimpse into the rich tapestry of human experience. Through inspiring stories, thought-provoking conversations, and transformative insights, we embark on a quest for meaning, purpose, and authentic connection.
So join us on this extraordinary odyssey, a journey of self-discovery, compassion, and empowerment. Together, let us delve into the depths of our shared humanity as we awaken to the infinite possibilities that lie within.
This is Awaecnian Odyssey, exploring the depths of the human spirit with hosts Marie Ferguson and Felicia Lee.
Let the journey begin. Viewer discretion is advised. This program may contain explicit or triggering content. Parental guidance is suggested. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Awaecnian Odyssey, exploring the depths of the human spirit. And we are your hosts, Marie and Flea, and we're so excited to be here with you today. And Flea, what's alive for you in this moment as we're creating this new beautiful show for people?
I feel so tapped into my heart right now, and I came across this beautiful little quote that said, "Our lives are but the threads in a cosmic tapestry, each moment a stitch in the unfolding story of our shared existence. And as we navigate the tapestry of human experience, may we find solace in the interconnectedness of our stories and drawing strength from the threads that bind us together." And that just melted my heart, because this is the pinnacle of my existence and what I believe to be true in the world, that we are all here as one great big story that gets to unfold together. And I just love that we get to bring this type of show into existence where we get to celebrate human beings for who they are.
Oh, I love that so much. And our experiences in our lives are so enriching. And I know that even our threads of weaving together and how we met through education, through teaching, led us down a path to reconnect later on because we were yearning for something in our own lives, in our own connections. And I am going to share this beautiful story because I remember I was in a really dark place, shifting and thinking about, well, what is it I want to do with my life? And I put a question out on Facebook World saying, if I was to start a school, who would come and join me? And Flea, you answered the call. Yeah. And
I most certainly did.
goodness. And this yearning for more, like there's got to be other ways of connecting, of learning, of embodying, of taking the beautiful, rich history of our past, of ancient wisdom, things from our own lives, from our lineage, from our modern lives that have been so beautifully, weaved into the work and the craft of being arts teachers through art, dance, drama, music, and that really embodied connective learning. And Flea, like, I suppose for you, this idea of weaving and calling in all of these threads, what does that mean to you and your life now?
I've had a really extraordinary life. And I say extraordinary, though if you were to hear it, you would probably say shocking or morbid or terrifying. Like all of these words, this expression of life that comes in and says, it's wrong. My tapestry is so vast and the lessons so extreme that I can do nothing but open my heart in this vastness of what it is to truly exist, to truly be together with other human beings. And, some people are still stuck in their trauma, which is very understandable. It's very, very difficult to shift without support and without help, and that's safety. But for me, this tapestry, this painting of the whole world, really brought about a new awareness for me. And it's a spiritual awareness. So some people don't like this term. And, they may say it's a little bit woo woo. I have to say, I'm a little bit woo woo. And that's okay. Because in this expression is how our honesty gets to come out. And this little tapestry and all of those little threads of negativity that come in and crisscross and hatch in, they've made me who I am today. And without those stories, I wouldn't be able to sit here and share the beautiful wisdom and insights that some of those terrifying and terrible situations actually brought. I am
Yeah.
gifted with an extreme wealth of knowledge from the extreme situation of life. And this is so
Mm.
beautiful that I get to share it with the world and with you, Marie.
Ah, it's so
And I know
wonderful.
that your experiences, I'm sorry.
No, all good. I was just saying that, and those experiences that you have weaved through, even though harsh, negative, there is some shadows and pieces that we're all evolving in these trauma responses that I love just how you saw it as a blessing. And this is how we get to change our narratives, change our stories, and shift it into a positive light, which you just shared then. And I just wanted to add that in there. And the term Awakening, through this spiritual evolvement, this awakening process, we specifically chosen this word Awaecnian, which we're terming Awakening, because it's the old Latin term to mean to awaken. And so, in the weaving, in the storytelling, we hope to share with not only our stories, but also with the stories of guests that we want to share with you, and weave in new insights and ways of understanding the world in relating to others to help us awaken more, to build a broader perspective. And Flea, I want to dive a little bit more deeper into your story, and we're going to tag team a little bit later. And we just like to also be in flow. So, listeners, if you are listening in and you're okay with a bit of flow and going with the energy in the moment, then you're in the perfect place because we do love to tap in and out what's going on to take you on a journey. So, Flea, some of these darker moments in your childhood, that have formed the amazing woman that you are today. What's something, I suppose, that you feel comfortable sharing with this audience that really
Mm,
um, framed that sense of resilience and courage, uh, that was embedded in
mm,
your childhood to who you are now? Because I see you as such a passionate, loving, and deeply resilient woman who has this
mm.
passion on fire in her heart and in her belly. Yeah, a passion fire. And I'd love to know, is there a moment, like, from your childhood that
Mm.
catalyzed a lot of this, um, I suppose, depth and understanding that you have now? And I know there's many, but is there something that
Yeah.
stands out?
The first one that comes to mind, it wasn't actually the realization of when it happened. So, childhood trauma is really kind of specific in the ways in which we handle the trauma can be very vast and in sometimes very extreme. So, for me, the actual trauma was blocked, and I mean literally blocked the entire 3 years of my life. There was only fragments of stories there. My memory was really collapsed, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. I had this desperate need to please people and to be the good girl and to make sure that I was loved. And it wasn't until I think I was, oh, actually, it was my very first intimate experience that brought about this awareness. Um, Quite horribly, after my first time, my beautiful boyfriend, not so beautiful boyfriend at the time, I should say, decided to shame me for not being a virgin. And I was like, what are you talking about? Of course I am. I have no idea what you're talking about. And he's like, nope, girls bleed, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, I don't know what you mean. And after that, what I perceived as being such a beautiful moment, he up and left. He left me devastated. He just walked out the door, and the people pleaser in me was like, I have to fix this. I must have done something wrong. I've got to find out what happened. What was wrong with me? And it was in that moment of like devastation and solitude that I would have meditated, but not actually realizing that that deep inner work of going in as what happened, what was wrong with me, have I done something? I went from all things like, oh well, I've used tampons, so maybe that broke it, and I've experimented with myself, so maybe that did it. And it wasn't until like I really dove deep, and I'm a why person. I always go within and go to the extremes with the why. But why? Why am I doing this? So when I dove into that, I remembered just a little fragments of my childhood abuse, which was from my paternal grandfather. And it was just the memory of him calling me to sit on his lap. And in this very innocent position, kids do go sit on Poppy's lap. That's fine. Didn't think anything of it. I've got other grandparents. It wasn't an issue. The cushion was placed upon my lap. Oh, you need to hug this. It's comfortable to hug. And before this, there was a certain amount of grooming that had been happening. So there was a lot of love and new toys, a special room at Poppy's house, all of these beautiful things. It was like, oh, I'm so loved here. Like, Poppy's place is the best. So when he actually started touching me, I was like a little bit confused. Our genitals are a sensitive place, and it does kind of feel tingly and nice, especially to somebody that's very unaware of what that is. And so, like, I'm confused. This is my Poppy. I love him. It's all fine. It's all good. My mum had walked past, and I'm like, oh, okay. This is just must be what happens. And my confused little state of mind just accepted it. And I didn't realize for many, many years that this was an issue. That did progress, and he did sexually assault me. And in that assault, I must have caused some type of shame or dissatisfaction in him. And he then rejected me in such a way that was that traumatizing that the actual sexual assault wasn't the problem. The problem was that I was no longer the nice, clean, lovable child. I was dirty, tainted, and I made him do something that he didn't want to do. And
Yeah.
it was like, how did I do that? My femininity, my body was responsible for that. So I hated myself. I drew
Yeah.
that in to the point that those years completely disappeared.
Wow.
My memory of him was all good until that moment. But it was
Wow.
in that moment that I then gained that strength to be able to turn around and say, hang on a sec, no, this is actually what happened. And that
Yeah.
was not my fault.
It's not your
I'd like
fault.
to say
And
it was accepted, but it wasn't.
yeah, but it's such a potent piece that you're sharing right now in the vulnerability and the honesty. And, this may be triggering for some people. So these moments that are hidden and still taboo to talk about in society, I feel is really important to share and encourage others that may have been
Mm,
victims of sexual abuse to know that they're not alone. And it is very normal to think that it's normal to feel those pieces that you shared with your
mm,
emotions, and
yeah,
also to notice that you did have blockages and blocked your heart, and that impacted much of your relationship and with
mm,
others, I suppose, as well. And
yes.
in, I suppose, the unravelings of this deep piece of you, we're exploring the depths of the human spirit and the
Mm,
resilience that came from this, and the courage and the strength, and also the deep compassion I see in yourself to notice these pieces and not be the victim anymore, I think is really powerful. So, how
mm.
did you, skipping forward, how did you, shift that? And in when you
Mm,
became awakened and when you started noticing and going within and doing a lot of work for yourself, what were some, I suppose, things that you did in your journey within to refigure out your power and your strength to reclaim
mm,
back your feminine power and your energy and who you were as Felicia? I'd love for you to share like
mm.
that transition. And I know there's a lot more in between,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'd love for you to dive deeper into that.
It's interesting that you asked as me as Felicia because I actually don't identify as Felicia, and this is part of that healing process. Was literally like shifting my concepts of who I was, all of the labels, all of the things. And that childhood trauma meant that I was a people pleaser. I was an overachiever. I was um, anxious attachment. I am the martyr. I am, the first one to put my hand up to do something for someone else, to be needed. And it was through a lot of multiple other situations that led me to understand that these patterns and behaviors were something that I was repeating, something that I was actually drawing in and seeking within myself because of how much shame I had associated with that event. And like knowing about it, the first thing I did was went into victim mentality. And this is not a bad thing. This is actually the first stage of your awakening. This is the first stage of healing, where you recognize that what happened to you wasn't actually right. What happened to you shouldn't have happened. And it was some type of abuse, and it was hard and it was difficult. So, in recognizing that, you take back that little bit of a power. It was not my fault. I do not need to be ashamed of that. I didn't do anything wrong. He was the predator. He was the one, and he deserved all the punishment. Now, what happened with that is that mindset, oh, he deserves. That's karma. That came back at me. Well, I deserve it because he did it to me. So, that interconnectedness, and this is where these threads in this tapestry intertwine. Because he had exchanged his energy with me, I was still connected. So every little bit of hate that I put onto him came back at me tenfold. And it came back in different energetic ailments within my body, different stagnancies and pains and things like that. But it was the splitting and the separation of that identity. Okay, well, if I'm not Felicia Lee, who am I? And I had to go back, well, I'm not my mother. I'm not a mother, even though I am a mother. Like, this is a role. This is something I do. I am a mother in my heart because I have birthed children. But that is not who I am. I don't have to actually mother anymore. So therefore that title sort of almost disappeared on its own as they grew up. I'm
Mm.
not the teacher that I thought I was. I am not, the good girlfriend or the good wife or the people pleaser. I am none of these things, but I am all of them all at once. And through shifting that identity and basically trying to throw it out the door, I ended up in a really deep, dark depression, a slump that has just driven me up and down. And it was, well, who am I? And a little piece of me that doesn't like to give up, I'm very competitive, went, I get to choose. I get to become who I want to be. So I really felt into my heart and I really went, oh, who do I want to be? I want to be someone that is just driven with so much passion, so much fire, so much potential that nothing can stop me. And quite frankly, nothing has been able to stop me. All of this trauma just kept making me stronger and stronger and stronger. So I am passion fire by heart. I am a soul led mystic who guides from deep within, and I can see the potential and the possibility within humanity. And this is just beautiful and remarkable. And it's what allowed me to elevate myself higher. I got to choose who I am.
Mm.
Very full
Yeah.
grammar there. But yeah, it's a beautiful recognition to be able to just strip away all of the nonsense. No, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that. In getting to pick that I am passion fire, that I am Flea instead of Felicia Lee, I actually get to take back my power. And with that, all of those roles actually come flooding back in. Yes, I am the mother, I am the teacher, I am the housewife, I'm the cook, I'm the chef, I'm the driver, I am absolutely everything. And this is what is amazing. And what
Mm,
led me to coming to work with you, Marie, in creating a new school.
I
This
love
is
that.
what we see, this potential, this
Yeah,
possibility and love and joy.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that surrendering, like allowing yourself to surrender in the darkness and the questioning and the why, you know, and it can be really, really hard to be in those moments of not knowing. And then when you reclaim yourself and set that stand, like, I don't want to feel this way anymore. I don't want to, show up this way in life anymore. So I'm going to choose. I'm going to decide and I'm going to be different. I'm
Mhm.
going to be the most powerful version of myself. I'm going to be the light that's been within my heart this whole time, that fire that you were talking about in your belly, rising up into exuding through your whole being. And I love that you're wearing red today and bringing in that passion and that fire and that energy, and being able to just own yourself in all of the facets. And it's like these beautiful threads, like you were saying, that we get to weave into our lives and bring it in and get to dance and play with it. And for me,
Mhm.
in a different part, I understand very similar pieces of not feeling good enough. Growing up, the perfectionist and the people pleaser. For me, my journey in being born in the Philippines, but growing up Australian, I had a
Mhm.
lot of culture pieces that came through my upbringing where girls were meant to be quiet. You're not meant to speak out. You need to shush and shut up because, you don't need to say that. That's embarrassing. And it was interesting also because I loved dancing and I loved being on the stage. And there was something within me that when the music came on, when I was with these other girls dancing as a team and just feeling into my body, that there was like this light, this spark that was like, I felt like the truest version of me
Mhm.
when I was dancing. But over time, like you flee with different experiences and circumstances, my heart shut off. And it was like, I love my beautiful parents, but there were pieces within, my upbringing where my mother was saying, you can't do that. That job's not going to get you anything. That you're not going to go anywhere with that. You just better be safe. Go get a safe office job.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. You're teaching. Oh, that's safe. Okay. Oh, you're a dance teacher, a drama teacher. What does that involve? And so even
Mhm.
though I kept following my heart, there were pieces of my identity that were pushed and shunned down as well, that I wasn't good enough in leading from that place. And I came across this beautiful quote from Brené Brown's Dare to Lead. And she said,
Mm.
the problem is when we imprison the heart, we kill courage. And so I played it safe. I kept doing the things that were safe to do. And I still had joy in those things, still loved, being in front of a class of young people. And there was a lot of deep, passionate work in being of service to others, in inspiring young hearts and minds. But there was also a part of me in my own identity that I was losing, in my relationships that I was losing,
Mm.
and myself. And so Brene Brown continues to say that when the heart is open and free, and we're connected to our emotions and understand what they're telling us, new worlds open up, powerful
Mm.
experiences of empathy, self compassion, and resilience. And I love, Flea, that your story in this learning to come back to your emotions and your heart, compassion, that self compassion you have, and the deep resilience, like these values, these pillars of what it is to be human is so
Mm.
woven into the tapestry of our human spirit. And we could dive a lot more deeper into this, but I just wanted to share a little bit about, the light, the
Mm.
spark within me. And these threads, that you were sharing within your life. I love connecting people. I love connecting these ideas and these thoughts with others like yourself, with
Mm,
the listeners that are like, oh, wow, I didn't actually think of it that way. In creating spaces like this, whether it's online, whether it's live events, whether it's in classrooms, whether it's in our homes, when we
mm,
connect back to the heart, connect back to our emotions and our body and listen deeply like we have on our journey, and we continue to listen deeply, that
mm.
magic happens. And I've got many names too, but in this beautiful space, I am the connection queen. And I'm wearing my crown with pride and owning these beautiful threads. But there was a time where I didn't own that queendom. I didn't own that power. And it took many years to find that self compassion again.
Mm.
Just let that land. And so flee in those pieces of self compassion. What what do you notice about, I suppose, the world that we're currently seeing, and this
Mm.
disconnect and this lack of compassion that you desire to change? I'd love for you to share. We've spoken a lot about this personally, but I know it's a very
Yeah.
powerful piece.
Oh, the deepness in my heart with this dream is it's a global dream. We value people. And for me in particular, um, I've had a really dirty relationship with money. It's like I just, I don't want it. To me, it's tainted. It's it brings out the worst in people. And part of what the academy aims to do is bring about all types of education. And education gets a bad rap as a word. We often go to our horrible high school or primary school experiences, and that's education. This is not the meaning of the word for us. And I would really love to implore all of you beautiful people to start to consider language in a different way as a form of expression and what it could mean, not what it's been defined as or not what you may have perceived it as at one point, but the wholeness of it. So, education, what it is to learn. Now, I often had this dream when I finally decided to be a teacher that I would walk into this classroom and I would be surrounded by all of these beautiful human beings that were just so eager to learn. And I would have something powerful and passionate to give them that would inspire them to show them how special they actually are, how unique and how brave and courageous and how much positivity we can actually bring into the world when we are celebrated and when we are given that opportunity to see bigger than what we can see for ourselves. And I dream big. I've always been the over imaginative child. I loved books. Obviously, childhood trauma, you need a place to escape. And what better place than a fantasy novel or a, beautiful romance when your relationships aren't so great? We go into the mind. But what I realized that each of these texts, whether it was fiction or fact, it made no difference because the words and the value of the meaning that it gave me, that was the be all and the end all. That was, this is what I need to do. I love language. I want to be an English teacher. The experience was not that way at all. I have to say, English is the most hated class in all of the schools that I've been in. And as much as the kids love me, they could not find that passion for English that I had, or for language in that manner, because it's not about English. For me, the English subject in schools is actually communication. How do we communicate with all of us? Like right now, I'm using all of me. It's all of my body. It's coming from deep inside my soul. It is my heart. It is my everything. And if you can't feel that, please just open up and receive. It's who we are. And I know that in my mind, there is nobody that thinks like me. I've always been aware of that. I've always kind of considered myself as a little bit odd. or a little bit crazy in that manner. It's like, oh yeah, I think of all of these things, right down to the darkest. If I was to die, that, like, what would life be like for the people I leave behind? What would it be like for, for me? Like, am I going to move on? Would I come back? Would I, like, all of these different interpretations of life that are being passed down. And I've read many different types of Bibles. I've been in many different types of Sunday schools. It used to be our dumping ground for the weekend, so we'd just get shifted off to a Sunday school because it was free care. So I was baptized, born again Christian, and one of them without parental knowledge. And this, to me, like, when I thought of it later on in life, was like, oh, that's actually kind of crazy and really wrong. Like, they went against, a consent order, really, because I had no idea what I was doing. But in that moment, it was like, it doesn't matter, because it's what it was for me. And for me, it wasn't about the religion, it was about the community. It was about the togetherness of it. And I was so intrigued by religion. I absolutely loved it. I was like, this is so cool. Everybody comes together and they're all in one place, and there's this community and family and support. And yes, I love it. Like, it's the universe, right? It's everything together. But then I listened to the words and the interpretations of those words, and I was like, oh, no, that's actually not right, because you're not actually loving people. You're not actually loving all of the universe. You're not loving everything. And it was just these slight interpretations, because each school, each preacher, each priest, or whatever it was, they had a different interpretation. They would take that message and they would use it for the value of what they saw fit for the day.
Mm.
And this understanding, this awareness, is that tapestry. But the
Mm.
tapestry is a vision, it's a picture. So Awakening Academy is a wonderland of potential. It's taking a core skill and saying, what can you do with it? You don't need to read my text. You don't need to understand tarot. You don't need to like cars or bikes, whatever it is that gets selected as curriculum. You get to choose you. And you take that core skill and you go, what can I do with it? If I'm learning about language and expression, wow, I can get on a podcast and I can create my own show. Or maybe I might want to be an actor and I can be the Wicked Witch and like we did yesterday. And that was so much fun. Or, maybe I might just want to be able to convince my loved ones how much I care for them. I might just want to be able to communicate with my children how special and dear and how much they saved my life.
Yeah.
And this is the art of communication, not English, because language
Mm.
changes,
Yeah.
interpretations change, but communication is whole. And it's what
Mm.
draws us together and what this show is all about.
Ah.
And I love that you also teach, because this is like one of the commonalities of knowing that the system is failing our youth,
Mm.
but we have a way to bring about change and to bring about
Yeah.
difference.
And I
And I'd
think,
love to hear a little bit more about you, because this has been
yeah.
really, really,
Yeah, it's been
yeah.
beautiful to dive deep, and these questions and the sense of community and the mission that you're sharing is something that I too share. And that sense of community that I found in different school settings was really powerful as well, that set some really beautiful foundations for me in my own life to understand the power of people, as you said before, the power of connection. And, I've been very blessed in my uh, early career to be in Catholic Christian schools that have had this beautiful setting of community. And it was such a blessing to be in these spaces where, even though people still had different backgrounds and belief systems, and there was this ethos of community and a deep love, that was the key. And it was that
Mm,
universe card that you showed earlier, Flea, that's coming back into oneness, that I learnt a lot. Yeah. And we do love pulling the
mm,
oracle cards, and we will continue to do that throughout these episodes. And because it's just that other little visual reminder that everything we connect in our lives, that we can take as either a learning and either as a blessing or an opportunity. And beautiful Flea phrased it in this way that I was like, yeah, I'm going to really hone in on that, because I have had many amazing opportunities. And when I was teaching, I would have young men and young women who were developing and growing that would come and choose dance and do hip hop with me because, I have a secret skill that I can break
Mm.
dance and, and balance and do amazing things. And I would love doing that with the young people in my classrooms, or creating amazing drama shows or musicals and building a community to share that magic
Mm.
of what we can create together. And that was a real gift in my early career and development in these foundations and pillars. And I've been very, very blessed to have kids on a different scale that loved being in the classroom. But I also have seen kids that hate certain things, and they would question and go, "Hey, miss, why are we doing this? This doesn't even make sense. It doesn't relate to my
Mm.
life." So how do we take the gifts of the magic and the clarity and the amazing, opportunities that our current system has, and be able to shift that and tailor that to an evolving, you know, life and way of doing things that is not set in that old paradigm anymore. And I love claiming the fact that we are paradigm shifters, because being able to notice these things that work well, but also to notice that our individuals, our human beings are changing. Our children are changing. How they operate, how they learn, how they be in the world is not fit for a confined classroom. It's not fit for the structures of what our so called organizations say should be in the curriculum to have a better future for our world. Yes, there are still
Mm.
beautiful things there. Yes, there are amazing teachers still out there, but there are also people that are doing this for a living to get by, that don't have
Mm.
the kids at the core foundation, that don't have community at the heart. And so this is that beautiful piece that Flea was saying of why we're creating another alternative, a holistic, creative, connective way where the adults can come together to invite our children, our teenagers, our future leaders into that
Mm.
space of growth and nourishment and self love and, mastery of these skills and disciplines that our world requires. So let's bring in the experts. Let's bring in the people that are living this in their real world and are grounded in their mind, body, spirit, and soul work that is purposeful.
Mm.
And so we are going to take a short break and see some amazing work that is soul led and creative, and looking forward to chatting more about it in a moment.
That nature, that preserved moss into your home. How remarkable. And this is what we love about the Academy. And the big dream is to have these communities where we are working with the land, where it's sustainable and nature-based learning and creativity, being able to merge the two together. Like, how fabulous would that be? Like walking through this, environment where there are these statues that are crafted, like
Yeah.
crafted with nature. How beautiful, how much expression would there be, and just groundedness. And I love
Yeah.
that it grounds, because this is something that you are very passionate about, and
Yeah.
one of the very first skills that you taught me as my mentor, and I just absolutely love this about you.
Yeah, it's such the work from Project Zen and Sean Ferguson, who is my husband. I'm going to claim that. He's amazing. This work, that has come through his vision, his creativity is so alive with his passion, and the frequency of his work is just with such detail and care in the product. It's mastery at this level, and he really loves creating this for clients, and we have a whole heap of these beautiful preserved moss pieces in our own home. And, this is why we've created our beautiful gardens around us to bring that zen, calm, grounded feeling and vibe
Mm,
into our home, into our spaces. And you can have this as well in your office spaces, hotel spaces.
mm,
Imagine this blend, like you were saying, Flea, of the architecture and the spaces we have with artwork that
mm,
feels alive. And you don't need to water these products, which is a beautiful. So it still feels like sensory and lush, and it looks exquisite. And there's no really maintenance required, which as human beings, we are so busy, rightfully, in this life. And this
mhm,
is that grounding and this reminder to take that breath, to allow the energy of nature to just help calm our nervous system and our bodies, and to really just come back into the heart and come back into being grounded. And so I
mm,
know we're touching on this grounded feeling and talking about these shifts in our own lives and shifts in society, and why we've created and co-created this work together. I'd love for you, Flea, to share some, like, I suppose, some dreams that you have. You started sharing about our academy
mm,
and this beautiful work. And I'd love for you to share some of the dreams that you have to come from these connections, from these ways of being, these ways of teaching and learning and embodying. I'd love to share, and then I'll happily
mm.
share as well.
Oh, yes. Okay. So this is so alive for me. It is literally making my body tingle. Um, so, first off, obviously, my heart is for the children. I believe that children need to be supported, loved, not just by their families, but by the entire community. It is our children that are actually going to be caring for us in our old age. They're the ones that are going to be, the next prime ministers and presidents and, leaders of the world. And the education part for the children is what drives me. So being able to have a platform that can be global, online and in person, where we get this fusion of projects rather than assessments. It's like, wouldn't you love to be able to create, the next inspiring film-based mockumentary, or whatever we want to call it, this project of individuals from around the world that are piecing together this tapestry of a story that is just so holistic and so engaging. And you might not want to be a star. You might just want to be one of the people on the tech room. Or maybe you might want to be somebody that's writing the scripts or helping to do the editing. Like, there are so many different levels of learning when we take away the context and we allow it to be open. We just say, okay, this is our project. Would you like to be part of it?
Yeah. Even
And with that
marketing,
part of it,
Flea.
they get to learn.
Yeah.
They get to
Yeah.
learn these skills. It really is. They get to learn these skills that are transferable, because not only do they get to create something, that then gets to be something that they can take into their world. We can have
Yeah.
entrepreneurs at 12 and 13,
Yes.
and we've seen it happen with AI and technology and everything like that. So, this ability to be able to learn, but it doesn't stop
Mm.
with the kids. No way,
See?
because I am an adult that loves to learn. And if I can learn something new, then I want to be able to go to this academy as well. I
Yes.
want to be able to go in and say, yes, there's a course there that I can better myself. Or maybe I might want to learn to be a coach and I want to develop curriculum. And
Yeah.
all I need to do is go through the course to be able to add to it. And,
Love
you know,
that.
that addition, that little thread that gets to go through,
Mm.
that little piece of the connector in you, Marie, that, actually makes those threads bind and creates the whole story.
Ah, I love
Because
it.
that's how we get to work together in either sponsorship or affiliation. Like, we get to
Yes.
merge our businesses. And I love supporting people. And I know that I am just one person. I cannot teach the world as much as I would love to. And if, you want to work with me, that's fantastic. But I know that I am not the person for everyone. And
Mm.
maybe you're not into arts and you're not into, film and television, but perhaps you might want to show, your soccer skills or your athleticism in a way that is holistic and can be shared with the world for the value that it brings for our health, for our fitness,
Yes.
for our physicality,
I love
just our
that.
emotional state of how much fun it is.
Yeah.
Like, sharing those
Yes.
voices is just, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then we
Oh,
have events and we have all of these ways where we can come together to
yeah.
network and share. So
Oh,
we are calling in sponsors that we can hype up and we can celebrate. And we
oh,
have this beautiful website that has our beautiful elites that are coming in, and Sean Ferguson Zen
perfect.
Projects, he is our very
Yes.
first and up
Yes.
there, and we are just celebrating him. And this is one of those ways that you can be celebrated through this television
Amazing.
series, through
Oh,
our
well,
podcasts, through our website, through our events, like everything. And
so
imagine how
exciting.
much better the world can become
Mm.
when
Yeah.
we can find the people that are right for us. We get to
Yes.
find our tribe. And
Mm.
that's what Awakening stands for. It's that tribe, it's the connective
Mm.
creation. And creation being the basis of that heart, because when we are in our heart and in this creative
Mm.
mode, we are tapping into the energies of the universe. As I pulled that card,
Yes.
this is
Yes.
really relevant. That
Love
energy
it.
get to be so much more, because
Yeah.
our impossibilities become possible.
Ugh.
And this is the dreamer in me that
Mm.
knows that this is possible. I did not complete school, yet here I am, an educator.
Yep.
You know, anything is possible. I
Anything's
was living
possible.
in the streets and now I have a beautiful home and a
Mm.
family. And, these things don't define us. They
Yeah.
get to explode within us and
Ugh.
amplify our energy. And I just want to see the world where we get to celebrate in the individual, in the you.
Yes.
Marie Ferguson, the best goddamn, womb coach that I know. I would recommend you any day if you want to know about your femininity and stepping into
Mm.
that queendom and those rites of passage for
Yeah.
women of knowing ourselves. Like, there are so many traditional things lost that you share.
Mm.
So many beautiful practices that give us back our power. And here I am
Yeah.
standing here with, no, I'm not standing, I'm sitting, but here I am, like, with so much passion. I feel like I'm
I love
standing, like
it.
I am just
Ah,
amplified. And
I
that
feel
came
it.
from that beautiful womb.
Yeah, I
So,
love there's
yeah, I'm
so many
celebrating.
pieces. Oh, I feel the celebration, I feel the energy, I feel the passion fire. And yeah, it's like that imagine what our young people can do. It's like, we love the arts too, but there's so many facets. Like, we're in business now. So imagine your young person wanting to create reels and TikToks and things to promote this project for these young people, to be able to work with coaches, facilitators, teachers, mentors, and help them, create their TikTok accounts. We've only started.
Mhm.
Flea's way better at than me. But we were speaking to another amazing woman the other weekend who's like, I only just started playing with TikTok. This is going to be my playground. How do we bring the gifts that our youth understand with technology, AI, this shifting world, and
Mm,
blend these worlds of the modern with the ancient? Because when we're grounded and aligned, and I loved that you brought in that divine feminine wisdom, because I do work with that energy and being able to balance and harmonize our feminine and our masculine
mm,
energy within ourselves, therefore within relationships and with our family, and also that magnetism for our leadership. You mentioned the soccer player stepping into his leadership and showing like why people need to come to a game to support and sponsor
mm,
these youths because they're passionate about them getting on the field and creating their teamwork. And how do we then show that in our various communities? And these are creative ways of connecting, of doing business, of celebrating each other instead of competition. And, this energy work for me has really grounded my relationships with my family, even with beautiful Felicia, and in honing in our leadership and our magnetism and our vision together, and also with the people that we get to work with,
Mm.
because we're also creating beautiful summits, global summits for
Yes.
people through these events. The amazing speakers that we have from around the world are fascinating and experts in their fields and just so grounded and magnetic within themselves. It's like these are the people that are our teachers for each other, for community, for our children. And this is why, we are here to share another
Mm.
way, a holistic way, a more grounded and passionate way of bringing communities together.
Mm. Mm. Ah, I so love this work. And I love that you said that we are the teachers, because every single person on this planet has something to teach. We each have that passion within us, that desire, that drive, that thing that we know we love. And that does get lost with trauma. So I will bring it back to that. It can get lost. That passion, that fire, that discovery of who you are can disappear, especially when it's not celebrated. So this calling back into our inner child, into play, is what we fundamentally lay at our foundation. Like, our foundation is built off our inner child and how much we nurture and we develop the passions and the inspiration and that innocence within us to believe that anything is possible, because we are the creators of our reality. And when we talk spirituality, we may, you know, find people that are like, oh, I don't believe in that, or it's cult based, it's religion based, I believe in something else. We are not about any of that. Once again, we take that word into the bigger context of, if we were to dive deep down and just to take all the human layers off, what is it deep inside of you? And I know for me, I've sat with this deeply. It sits up here. It's in my heart. It's not my heart, it's here. And it is a feeling that I know that when I am in my passion, it just radiates and I'm energetic, I'm glowing, I'm just in my element. And I know that people are drawn to that.
Mm.
And this is how we actually get to be celebrated and get to be recognized for our talents, because we get to open our hearts and go into that with that
Yeah.
fullness. And spirituality is just that understanding. Absolutely. We love these cards. So tarot cards, and I will just simply put this, they are literally a card. Okay? They do have deeper meaning behind them. And depending on how far you would like to take it, you can go into a whole other world. But for
Mm.
what we do, it is that inspiration and that reminder of the things that we already know within us.
Yeah.
So, one of the cards that did pop out this morning was the rest and rejuvenate.
Mm.
And for me, like, this card is that deep meditation of, you can actually see the little man there meditating. This idea that we need to actually go within to
Yeah.
discover what that is, that feeling right there.
Yeah.
What is it
Yeah.
that drives me? What is it my heart truly wants?
The
Because
heart. Mm.
that is us.
Yeah. And this
And
beautiful
that there
card
is the
is
potential
saying,
for the world
yeah,
to just, rise into its greatness, for
perfect.
prosperity to begin.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
And I
this is
just
the
love that.
same thing.
Yep.
And as you were sharing, Flee, the heart, like this medicine and the synchronicities, that I pulled the trader card here. And as you were saying that, I'm like, oh, this is so potent right now, because exchange of energy to create abundance. And this exchange of energy of coming back to the heart, coming back to what drives us, to being of service to the world,
Mhm.
is about creating that abundance, not only for ourselves but for the generations to come. And it's that conscious wealth abundance that we are all deserving of. And when we can come back to ourselves to realize how worthy we are, and shift and shed away all of those old stories and narratives that were limiting us, blocking us, maybe still triggering us through the trauma, through the victimhood, and being able to let that go. And you know what? And say, I'm going to step in to being the hero and the heroine of my own life. I'm going to be the god, goddess, and the queen and the king and the warrioress or warrior of my own life, no matter what archetypal character you choose, that you're choosing your greatness and you're choosing to recreate and design it and craft your story. So the tapestry and the threads that may have been
Mm,
tainted in your lines, may have been felt toxic, that you get to shed those or cut them or
mm,
clean them. They don't always have to be cut, but you can cleanse that and heal that, not only for yourself, but for your whole past lineage and for the future to come. Just got goosebumps
mm,
as we're sharing that. And with this
mm,
understanding of energy and each other in the wealth of our
mm,
experiences, from culture to religion to different circumstances, that we can come back to this place here because we all have hearts.
mm,
We all have the same color blood and we are all human. And this sense of unity and oneness and coming back to that place is what we're all about here, and the depth of human
mm,
experience. I spoke about my you know part of my education and teaching, but also a little bit about me growing up half Filipino, and I suppressed a lot of my Filipino heritage in my journey because of my childhood that I shared, and that little glimpse and the shamanic side of the medicine in there. Because yes, there are healers, there are
mm,
witch doctors, there is another depth of understanding of the culture and the matriarchal lineage within my family that I've now reclaimed and I'm continuing to learn about with the wealth of knowledge that
mm,
I have. And so this is where we get to share the ancient, the old, the past with the modern, the contemporary, the growth, and we get to weave these conversations and stories at a deeper level.
mm. I pulled the spirit. That word does not want to come out today.
Owning it,
Spiritual
owning your humanness. I
union.
love it.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't you love when they just don't want to work like that? It's like the tongue just does its own thing. Spiritual union. And
Mm,
a lot of people like to think of this as, just romance, as partnerships. For me, the spiritual union is that owning yourself. It's the two parts, the logical and the emotional, merging together. And, you can see in the beautiful artwork, the two coming together. They do have it as a relationship, and we do have that relationship within us. We have the masculine and the feminine, and we have to merge them within each of us. And like men, you have a feminine in you, and you also have the masculine. Yes, we are predominantly dominant in our gender, usually, um, but this union within ourselves is what has been suppressed in humanity for quite some time, and it's really important that we start to recognize this in these moments. And this is why we have created this academy, is to bring you into that fullness of yourself. Because when we're
mm,
not lacking, and that's what that is, that disconnect, that separation of yourself is lack. With that lack, we cause harm. Without it, we're in celebration and we're in union. And you can't be angry when life is good, when you are whole and, you know, you have that deeper understanding of who you are.
mm,
It's just powerful, it's magical, and we may never ever get to the full understanding, or it may turn and shift and end up being something else. But it's that knowing that you can come back to yourself and go, okay, is this what's right for me now?
mm,
Is this what I need? Is this where I really want to go? Do I want a new career? Do I want a new relationship? These are the choices that are our existence. It
mm.
is that picture. that tapestry that we talk about so much.
I love that.
And I love that we now have so many opportunities that we can call people to work with us in any way, shape, and form. So you want the education, you want a coach, you want a mentor, you want just somebody to help you promote your business, you want somebody to celebrate you, then Awakening Academy is the place.
Mm,
For children,
yeah,
for adults, we build when we build together. If
yeah,
it's like one of our beautiful tribe members, Elizabeth Ann Walker from last year's summit, it's all about the family and the family network that we get to create because we are all
mm,
humans. So therefore we are all family. We are one race, the
yeah,
human race. And with that, if I need a VR and you say I'm the VR, I love that. That is my life. I live it, I breathe it, then I want to hire you. If I need, a videographer or something like that, and it's like, I know how to do that. That's what I want to do. I want to put my hand up. These are the people that we want to celebrate, the ones that know and love who they are and
mm,
what they do. And they're mastered in it because they just know that no matter what, they just keep growing and building. They're not
yeah,
getting to a point and they're just stopping here. They're like, oh, what can I do? What's the next level of this? I've videoed in this way, and next time I'm going to try this. Next time I'm going to do this. And oh, that may not have worked, but I can make it better this way. And it's through this mersion of fault and flaws and mistakes that we truly own what it is we love.
yeah. I love that. And I look at that word like the trial and error, the faults, the failures, which are so important in our existence and our development and our growth. And I look at the word failure as first attempt in learning. And how many times can I continue to have this learning experience and change the lens and bring gratitude in that learning? And so before we leave today, lovely people, I'd invite you to place your hand on your heart and the other one on your belly. Just taking a big, deep breath in through your nose and exhaling out through your mouth. Belly rise as you inhale and exhaling out. And just bringing a thought of gratitude, being grateful for something that you have in your life, whether it's your family, a roof over your head. It's the time maybe to listen and meet us and just sharing that thought into your heart. And I'm so thankful to be here with you and Felicia and to have this amazing platform with people supporting us. Just feeling that gratitude ground into your body. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes again and join us. So, Flea, how can people find us if they've loved this episode and want to hear more from us? How can they connect with us?
Awaecnianacademy.com. It is AWAECNCIAN. No, I
Yes,
spelled that wrong.
it's okay.
AWAECNIAN
That's it.
Academy. So we have a beautiful website. We also have TikTok, um, Instagram, Facebook,
Facebook.
LinkedIn, YouTube.
Yeah, come and find
We have
us.
quite a few different platforms. There is multiple ways to reach out. The best way is probably just signing up on our mailing list. We check that daily, so that's the best place. Otherwise, you can DM us. I am Felicia Lee on Facebook or Fleeby78 on Instagram and Marie Ferguson on Facebook and Instagram. Oh, Marie Ann on Instagram,
Yes,
isn't it?
on Instagram. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, Marie underscore Ann underscore Ferguson on Instagram. And it's beautiful. Like the name that we have just gets people talking. We get tongue twisted all the time. And I forget the
Mhm.
N and the C sometimes. But I love that we get to play with the old and claim our vulnerability as humans, and being able to,
Mm.
share, stumble in our words, notice when we say things uh, like the R's and the you knows, and just be really honest because this is who we are. We are Marie and Flea. We are human. We are showing up with our hearts open to connect And we hope to share not only more of our story, but stories of other really amazing people in this space. So looking
Mm.
forward to connecting with you more next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.